Hi, it's Dennis. Welcome back. Today I want to talk to the employees of Bowater Mersey, and specifically I want to discuss the severance pay that they're about to receive in the next couple of weeks. I want to show you a way that you can save approximately $8,000 in income tax over the next 6 months. Let me give you a scenario. Let's assume for a moment that you continued to work at Bowater up until May or mid-June, and your income so far this year from work is approximately $35,000. Let's assume for another moment that your severance pay is going to be approximately $60,000. So if you take all of the severance pay into income in 2012, your taxable income for the year will be approximately $95,000, the $35,000 from work plus the $60,000 severance pay. Your tax liability on that income is approximately $28,600. But you don't necessarily have to take all of that income, all of that severance pay into income in 2012. Let me explain. There's a rule that states that you're allowed to transfer of a severance pay up to $2,000 for every year of service that you work for your employer, up to and including 1995. Now this rule is being phased out, meaning anyone who started work after 1995 is not going to be allowed to access this rule. So it's a very specific rule, specific to severance pays and specific to people who've been working prior to 1995. So I want to assume for a moment that you started work at Bowater in 1981. You're allowed to transfer of your severance pay up to $2,000 for every year or part year of service that you worked at Bowater up to and including 1995. So if you look at it like this, so if you started in 81 and you were still there in 95, you're still there now, you're allowed to transfer $30,000 because you were there for 15 years prior to 1995. So 2,000 times the 15 allows you to transfer $30,000 to an RRSP. Let's also assume that you have unused RSP contribution room, which you can determine from your notice of assessment that you received back from Revenue Canada last year after you did your tax return. Let's assume you have room for another $5,000. So you potentially have the ability to make a $35,000 RRSP contribution directly from the severance pay, meaning before it gets transferred to you and before the company withholds the tax, you can have it transferred directly to your RSP plan. You don't have to invest it in anything long-term. You can invest it in a short-term savings account inside of your RSP plan. So you're going to have access to it. That's the key. So if you do that, we're going to be able to subtract $35,000 off of your taxes, off of your income for 2012. So instead of paying tax on $95,000, you're paying tax on $60,000. As a result, your tax bill will drop in 2012 by approximately $14,000. So from $28,000 down to $14,000. Then what I'm going to assume you do is the $35,000 that you put into your RSP, I'm going to assume that you need that money to live on in 2013. So in 2013, if you were to take all of the $35,000 back out because you didn't find another job or something didn't come along to help, then that money would be taxed. Your tax bill on that money would be approximately $6,000 if that was your only income in 2013. Well, that's still an $8,000 tax savings, or a 30% reduction in the amount of tax you pay just by showing the income in 2013 versus 2012. To me, that's a tremendous opportunity that you cannot miss. Remember that even with that transfer of the 35, if your severance pay in total was 60, you're still going to receive $25,000 less the withholding tax of approximately, let's say it's 40%, because you're going to be making pension contributions from the severance pay and a few other little. So let's assume that you're going to end up with, from the 25, they're going to withhold $10,000. You're going to get $15,000. Well, there's 5 months left in this year. You've got $15,000 in your hand. You can use sort of $3,000 a month to cover your bills and everything else, etc., for the next 5 months till year end, and then you can access the 35 that's in your RSP plan. It's a tremendous opportunity that you cannot miss. please give me a call at your earliest convenience if you want to discuss this further in your own circumstances. But you really need to talk to somebody before the company cuts you the check for the severance pay. This idea works the best if you can do that. There are still things we can do if you miss it, and you can make the contribution later. But the best approach is to talk and set it up with the company prior to you receiving the severance pay. So please call me at 1-800-580-2791 or come to the website at www.dennisgraves.ca. Thanks for listening.